Life wisdom.
Maybe you've noticed, junk food tastes great, but healthy food isn't nearly as exciting and tasty as junk food. In this video, I'm going to talk about how foods taste. We haven't directly covered this in a previous video, but I think it's really important because food manufacturers assume that taste is going to be your primary motivation in deciding what you're going to eat. And then they go and do everything they can to exploit this and make their unhealthy junk foods taste awesome. It really goes without saying that human beings derive a great amount of pleasure from eating. And while eating may not be as pleasurable as sex, most people spend more time eating than they do having sex. It really seems that nature intended for eating to be pleasurable. And in the natural world, foods that are good for us, like fresh fruit, smell and taste good, while things that are bad for us, like rotten meat, smell and taste awful. The pleasurable sensation of eating is a combination of smell, taste, and texture. And hundreds of thousands of years of evolution have acclimated human taste buds towards eating natural, healthy foods that aren't going to kill us. But in the last 50 years, the food industry has come along and quite literally through chemical manipulation, the use of refining sugars, the use of artificial flavors and excitotoxins like MSG, drugs like caffeine, chemical conditioners, retexturing agents, you name it, they have managed to take really unhealthy foods or things that really aren't food at all and trick us into thinking that they taste even better than natural healthy foods. And this is an exploitation of our taste buds that is leading to disease, obesity, and for some people, even early death. Let's take an example here. On the right, we have blueberries, and on the left, we have a cream-filled frosted snacky cake. Now I could ask you, which one of these foods is going to promote your health? And which one of these foods is going to hurt your health? Which one of these foods is going to cause weight gain? And which one of these foods could help you lose weight? But perhaps the more important question is, which one of these foods tastes better? And which one are you more likely to actually eat? Now, I'm sure that there are some other natural food people out there, like me, who would say that the blueberries taste better. But I think it's safe to say that society at large would probably opt that the snacky cake tastes better. After all, the United States sells a whole lot more snacky cakes than it does blueberries. But let's take a closer look. If we look at the calorie content in these foods, a pound of blueberries contains 256 calories, while a pound of snacky cakes contains 1,782 calories. And if we look at the sugar content, we're looking at blueberries with 45 grams of sugar and snacky cakes with 170 grams of sugar. The blueberries contain 25 times the vitamin A content, 5 times the vitamin C content, and a whole boatload of antioxidants and enzymes. But these snacky cakes, bite for bite, contain 7 times the calories, 4 times the sugar, and 45 times the fat. So the blueberries will promote health, while the snacky cakes will promote eventual weight gain and heart disease. But this isn't an argument of which of these foods is healthier. The argument is health versus taste. Now, when you think about it, the idea of adding flavors to a food is really kind of interesting. And whether these are natural flavors or artificial flavors, both of which I avoid, the idea that you have to add flavors to something is just odd because natural foods already have flavors. So what the food industry is doing is taking something that otherwise would taste really bland or maybe really disgusting and adding so much sugar, artificial flavors, salt, excitotoxins, and other chemicals that suddenly it tastes really, really good. I even recall one doctor commenting that if they added enough sugar to dog poo, people would eat it and thought it tasted great. The food industry works off of a very basic principle: profit. And their formula is this: the cheapest ingredients and the most sensational taste. Isn't it funny that many candies contain fruit flavorings? Most candies are just pure sugar with some artificial flavors thrown in, maybe some artificial colors to help them appear bright. But nothing in nature contains this amount of sugar content. Nothing in nature contains these artificial flavors, obviously, and nothing in nature is nearly as intense as what these chemicals can create. But if you offered a child some fruit or some Skittles, they would undoubtedly reach for the Skittles. But you don't have to have a bag of Skittles if you want to taste the rainbow, because you could just eat the fruit and save all that sugar and fruit flavoring for someone else. The food industry really doesn't give a rat about your health, but they are obsessed with your taste. And they operate off the basic assumption that if something tastes good, it really doesn't matter what the ingredients really are. And it really doesn't matter what the adverse health effects are. If it tastes great, they assume you're still going to buy and consume it en masse. And they really have no bones about it. They are clearly coming out to you and bragging about how their foods taste. So you see slogans like "tastes great," "taste the difference," or "taste the rainbow." Or you see them bragging about how their product competes in leading taste tests. All this really amounts to is a promise of some pleasurable sensation with utter disregard for your health. After all, when a new food hits the market, it doesn't go through a series of health tests, it goes through a series of taste tests. And the food industry's opinion of you is not that you are a rational human being who uses common sense to eat healthy foods, but that you are a hedonistic, decadent animal who just cannot control your ravenous desires for super tasty foods. So it's almost like we're a whole nation of junk food zombies. But instead of walking around mindlessly craving brains, we're walking around mindlessly craving French fries, snacky cakes, and Starbucks coffees. And if you're feeling like you just can't live a day without junk food, you should know that the food industry has purposefully manipulated you into becoming a junk food zombie. And if you're feeling like giving up junk food could kill you, you should remember that zombies aren't alive. And if you keep eating junk food, you won't be alive long either. Sometimes people ask, why is it that the good-for-you foods taste bad and the bad-for-you foods taste good? And to answer this question, we really have to ask, how can nature compete with designer chemical flavorings and megadoses of refined sugar? It can't. The junk foods of today are more akin to designer drugs than they are to natural foods. And like designer drugs, they are created with the primary intention to be pleasurable indulgence and intensity, and with complete disregard for your health. But the truth is that nature did make natural foods taste good. And for hundreds of thousands of years, people got a lot of pleasure and enjoyment out of eating those natural foods. It's really just in the last 50 years that the food industry has come in and created all of these chemical creations that don't contain any of the vitamins, nutrients, minerals, antioxidants, or enzymes that the natural foods contained, but instead they contain a whole lot of chemicals to trick your taste buds into thinking they taste better. And many of these chemicals have been found to be carcinogenic, to cause all kinds of birth defects, and even worse. So with natural foods, the sweetness or the flavor is really the reward that we get for all of those nutrients, and we're enticed to eat that food because of the flavor. And what the food industry has done is taken that reward, like the sweetness, and stripped it out. So they take away all of those healthful nutrients, and they take the sweetness and they refine it to get something like high fructose corn syrup. And now you're getting 10 times the intensity of the reward without any of the actual health benefits. And now you also have negative health effects compiled on top of that. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the new designer drugs, snacky cakes, and soda pop. And now people are so used to this super intensity, the super sweetness, the super flavors, that the natural foods just don't taste as good anymore. So you take an apple, which for millions of years was a tasty treat, and compared to the designer junk foods, the apple is just pretty meh. But you don't have to be a decadent, hedonistic junk food addict. You don't have to be the hedonistic animal that can't control your ravenous cravings for super tasty, sensational foods that the food industry thinks you are. If you can just limit your intake of junk food and start eating healthier foods, your taste buds will reacclimate, and pretty soon you'll actually be craving healthy foods instead of the junk foods. And because these foods are so much more packed with nutrients, you're actually going to find that you're healthier. You have more energy. You even begin to lose weight or take care of the health problems that have been plaguing you your entire life. We're really at a crossroads in society where people have the choice between two different paths. One path is the tried and true path of eating natural foods, which people have done for hundreds of thousands of years, and which leads to people being healthy. The other path is to eat the designer junk foods, the foods that have only been around in the last 50 or so years, and that are going to lead you down a road of weight gain, obesity, diabetes, toxicity, illness, and even premature death. Most advertising has an underlying sentiment that you are a freaking moron. And in a future video, we're going to discuss how advertisers assume that you're stupid. To find out how designer junk foods mess up your body's natural cravings and cause overeating, nutritional deficiencies, and weight gain, see my video, How to Beat Sugar and Fast Food Cravings. To find out how fast food and junk foods are actually chemically designed to be habit-forming and cause overeating, see my video, Junk Food Designed to Be Addictive. To find out exactly why junk foods are so bad for you and why natural superfoods are so good for you, see my video, Superfoods versus Junk Foods. To find out why high sugar foods cause weight gain and why you probably have no idea how much sugar you're actually consuming, check out my video, The Truth About Carbohydrates.